Going to entirely switch gears now. I do not have a live picture from Washington, D.C. I was hoping I did, but we are going to be talking about impeachment right now with former Florida congressman and now political analyst Ric Keller. Good morning. Thank you so much for waking up so early with us here on NewsNOW from Fox. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. Well, you kind of have some live footage. You got the Oval Office behind me there.
I love those Zoom backgrounds. I won't
right.
talk to you about the cat one that we all saw earlier this week.
That's right.
So this is, how do you think the impeachment trial, the second one of former President Donald Trump, is going? And what do you think is the most important for people to be taking away from these proceedings so far?
Well, it's going about as expected. I would say, though, with respect to the opening arguments, I think the Democrats did significantly better, not that it had any substantive impact on the votes. I think you're going to see a totally different attorney doing the closing and the defense for Mr. Trump. The first guy, in my humble opinion, Mr. Castor, was just horrible. It just did a bad job. So you're going to have a different guy do that. In terms of the things to look for, number one, three things. One, you'll see them wrap up today. They have 16 hours to finish, but when you already have the votes on the jury, you want to get it to that jury as soon as possible. So I think they'll only take a few hours before they rest their defense. The second thing, you're going to hear what their defense is, which is pretty basic. I didn't do it. I didn't incite them to go down there. Two, I condemned it. And three, that it's unconstitutional because you can't remove me from office. I'm already out of office. And then the third big thing that will happen is the acquittal. And he will be acquitted. I don't think they're going to get to the vote tonight. We'll probably get to it tomorrow. But they need 17 senators. They already know that they only have 6. And so what they're doing really is playing to a different audience, the American public and historians. And they want the Wikipedia entry to say President Trump incited a mob after refusing to accept the election results. And so that's really what's going on in a case that already has a foregone conclusion.
President Joe Biden has essentially said, I'm going to leave this to the Senate. I'm not going to make a whole lot of remarks about it. Do you think that was a good move on his part?
I do. I think he wants to look presidential. You don't want to appear partisan in any way. You probably see, for example, when President George W. Bush left office or President Obama left office, they don't get involved in a lot of partisan activities. It's a different stature once you reach the Oval Office. And so I would expect President Biden just to kind of observe this from a distance and let other people be the ones that run to the cameras.
I read this morning that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is not ruling out bringing legislation to bar former President Trump from office if he is not convicted at the ongoing Senate impeachment trial. What are your thoughts on that?
A, it would be unconstitutional, and B, he would need 60 votes in the Senate to make that happen. So it's not going to happen. I think that's more of a publicity stunt. And also, from a practical matter, if they think he's so damaged and injured and people don't like him and historians aren't going to like him, what is he so worried about, him running for a second term?
Possibly the most compelling testimony that we've heard so far had to do with the fact that, I mean, you saw images, you heard video of what happened during the Capitol riot on January 6th. What do you think about that testimony?
Well, obviously, it's emotional. It was put together well. It's what you would expect them to do in light of the fact that their real audience is the American public. And so what do you do in return? You take your very best piece of video evidence and display that. In this particular case, a day or two after the events, President Trump went on national TV in a very solemn, calm way, condemned what happened in the strongest possible terms and called for these people to be prosecuted. And that's his best video. So you're going to see the defense play that.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me, perhaps, that I didn't get to ask you this morning?
No, I think it's an interesting phenomenon. There will be an acquittal 100%. But again, I think the Democrats are playing to a different audience.
All right. And I would just like to remind everybody that the Senate impeachment trial continues right here at noon Eastern on NewsNOW from Fox. Mr. Keller, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
You bet.
All right, everyone, they are flying around New York City still. Fox